You're listening to The Resilient Animal. I'm Annie Peterson, Doctor of Education with a Master's in Mental Health Recovery and Trauma-Informed Care. This podcast is an exploration of how helping other living beings can benefit human mental health and well-being, and what makes us all resilient animals.
On today's episode, we're going to discuss the quiet healing power of nature. Over the next 20 minutes or so, we're going to explore how animals adapt to the heat and the long days, what they're actually doing out there when you spot them in your backyard or on a trail. And then, perhaps most importantly, we'll talk about something a little more personal. We'll look at the growing body of science showing that simply being near wildlife, observing it, respecting it, can do something genuinely remarkable for your mental health. So let's start outside. Close your eyes for a moment if you can do so safely. Imagine a warm summer morning. The sun is just crusting the tree line. The air smells like cut grass and something floral you can't quite name. And somewhere nearby, maybe in a bush, maybe overhead, something is moving. A flash of wings, a rustle in the leaves, a frog launching itself into still water. That is the world we're stepping into today. Summer is a season of extremes. For wildlife, the long, hot days bring both opportunity and serious physiological challenge. Across every class, mammals, birds, reptiles, amphibians, insects have developed astonishing strategies to not just survive summer, but to thrive in it. Let's start with heat. Managing body temperature is one of the central problems of summer survival. Humans sweat, dogs pant. But the animal kingdom has come up with strategies far more creative than either of those. Take the African elephant, a classic example of thermoregulation done spectacularly. Those enormous ears aren't just for hearing, they're vascular radiators. The skin of an elephant's ear is thin and packed with blood vessels. When an elephant moves its ears, it's pumping blood through those vessels and dissipating heat directly into the air. On a hot day, ear flapping can reduce an elephant's body temperature by several degrees. It's elegant biological engineering. Many North American mammals shift their activity patterns dramatically in summer. White-tailed deer, for instance, become increasingly crepuscular, most active at dawn and dusk, to avoid the peak heat of midday. Foxes, raccoons, and even some rabbit species follow similar patterns. If you've ever wondered why you see more wildlife in the early morning or late evening during summer, this is exactly why. The animals are doing what any sensible creature does, staying out of the heat of the day. Then there's a strategy that doesn't get nearly enough attention: aestivation. You've probably heard of hibernation, the winter sleep. Aestivation is its summer counterpart. Certain animals facing extreme heat and drought essentially shut themselves down. Lungfish in Africa and South America are perhaps the most dramatic example. When their water sources dry up in summer, they burrow into the mud and secrete a mucus cocoon around themselves. Their metabolic rate drops to a tiny fraction of normal. They can survive in this state for months, sometimes years, waiting for rain to return. In North America, the land snail does something similar. During extreme heat and drought, snails retreat into their shells, seal the opening with a layer of dried mucus called an epiphragm, and essentially pause their lives until conditions improve. Some species of ground squirrel also aestivate during the hottest parts of summer before transitioning into autumn hibernation. Birds face their own suite of summer challenges. Many species deal with heat through behavioral thermoregulation, seeking shade, reducing activity, and a fascinating behavior called gular fluttering, where birds rapidly vibrate the thin skin of their throat to promote evaporative cooling. Pelicans and cormorants are particularly known for this. It looks almost like they're panting, but it's a finely tuned cooling mechanism. Migrating birds have largely arrived by summer in the northern hemisphere, and many are deep into breeding season. But some species, particularly shorebirds, are already beginning their southward migration by July. The red knot, a medium-sized shorebird, makes one of the most extraordinary migrations on Earth. It breeds in the high Arctic in late spring and early summer, then immediately turns around and heads for the tip of South America, a journey of nearly 10,000 miles. By the time most people are enjoying their summer vacations, these birds are already in motion. Insects, of course, are the unsung heroes of summer adaptation. They are everywhere in summer, buzzing, crawling, fluttering, and their strategies for surviving heat are as varied as the species themselves. Many insects are most active in early morning and late afternoon for the same reasons as larger animals. Butterflies, being ectothermic, meaning they rely on external heat sources to regulate their body temperature, actually need warmth to function. On cool mornings, you'll often see them basking on sun-warmed surfaces, angling their wings to maximize sun exposure. On extremely hot days, they do the opposite, orienting their wings edge on to the sun to minimize heat absorption. Honeybees have one of nature's most sophisticated cooling systems. When a hive gets too warm, worker bees collect water and spread it in thin films throughout the hive. Then they fan their wings to evaporate it, essentially building a natural air conditioning system. The hive temperature is maintained at a remarkably consistent level, even on the hottest summer days. Amphibians face perhaps the most acute summer challenges of any vertebrate group, because they breathe partly through their skin, and that only works when the skin is moist. Many frog and salamander species become far less active during dry, hot summer weather, retreating to burrows or shaded, moist microhabitats. They emerge during and after summer rains when conditions are favorable. The American bullfrog, however, is something of a summer specialist. It thrives in warm water temperatures and is most vocal and active during summer nights, filling wetlands with that deep, resonant call. All of these adaptations, the ear flapping, the aestivation, the gular fluttering, the wing fanning, represent millions of years of evolutionary refinement. They are, in a word, breathtaking. If summer adaptations are about surviving the heat, summer behaviors are about making the most of the season's abundance. Summer is when life accelerates. For most of the animal kingdom in temperate regions, summer is the peak season for reproduction, growth, and preparation for the leaner months ahead. Let's talk about breeding. The connection between long summer days and reproductive behavior is not coincidental, it's hormonal. Most temperate wildlife species use day length, what biologists call photoperiod, as the primary cue for triggering reproductive hormones. As days lengthen in spring and summer, levels of hormones like testosterone and estrogen rise in many species, initiating courtship, mating, and parental care behaviors. The dawn chorus, that extraordinary wall of birdsong that greets early summer mornings, is one of the most direct expressions of this hormonal surge. Male songbirds sing to defend territories and attract mates. The complexity, volume, and consistency of a male's song signals his fitness to potential mates. Studies have shown that female birds actually assess male song quality before choosing a mate, so every note in that morning's symphony is, in a very real sense, an audition. Nesting season brings some of wildlife's most compelling and sometimes tense behaviors. Many bird species become fiercely territorial during this period. The northern mockingbird, perhaps the most aggressive defender of them all, will attack animals many times its own size who venture too close to its nest. Red-winged blackbirds are similarly bold, dive-bombing intruders in a series of determined swoops. If you've been buzzed by a bird on a summer walk, you've experienced firsthand just how seriously wildlife takes the business of raising the next generation. Mammals follow their own summer reproductive calendars. White-tailed deer fawns are born in late spring and early summer, spending their first weeks lying hidden in tall grass while their mothers forage nearby. The spotted coat of a fawn isn't just beautiful, it's a camouflage system, the dappled pattern mimicking the play of sunlight through leaves. Mother deer visit their fawns to nurse several times a day, but otherwise stay away, reducing the scent trail that might lead predators to the hidden young. Black bears give birth in winter, but spend summer in a period of intensive foraging. They are in a physiological state called hyperphagia, an extreme drive to eat, as they build the fat reserves they'll need for the coming winter. A black bear in late summer can consume up to 20,000 calories per day, ranging widely across its home territory in search of berries, nuts, insects, and any other available food source. This is when bears are most likely to come into contact with humans, as their foraging range expands, and they investigate any promising food smell. Insects reach their population peaks in summer. Fireflies, one of summer's most magical phenomena, are actually communicating through their bioluminescent flashes. Each species has a distinct flash pattern, and males and females use these coded light signals to find each other in the warm summer darkness. The chemistry behind firefly light is a marvel. Luciferin reacting with oxygen in the presence of an enzyme called luciferase, producing cold light with almost no heat wasted in the process. Dragonflies are summer's aerial acrobats. They are among the most effective predators on Earth, catching over 90% of the prey they pursue, a success rate that puts lions and wolves to shame. They hunt by calculating the future position of their prey and intercepting it, a behavior that requires sophisticated neural processing. On a hot summer afternoon, watching dragonflies patrol a pond is to watch some of the most refined predatory precision in the natural world. Summer is also when many species engage in fascinating social behaviors. Barn swallows gather in loose foraging groups, wheeling through the air to catch insects in flight. Deer form loose bachelor groups during summer, the males tolerating each other's company before the competitive autumn rut separates them again. Many songbird species join mixed species foraging flocks, exploiting the safety in numbers principle while searching for food. And beneath the surface of every summer pond and lake, an equally dramatic story is unfolding. Largemouth bass are guarding their spawning beds and aggressively defending territories. Painted turtles bask on logs, absorbing solar energy to power their metabolism. Great blue herons stand motionless in the shallows, patient as statues, before striking with a speed that the eye can barely follow. Summer, in short, is when the natural world is most fully, noisily, gloriously alive. From the world of the animals to the world inside us. Because there's something important happening when we spend time near wildlife, something that goes beyond simple enjoyment, something the science is now beginning to explain. In just the last few centuries, and especially the last few decades, the majority of people in developed nations have moved into environments almost entirely constructed by humans. We spend the vast majority of our time indoors, surrounded by artificial light, synthetic noise, and the relentless demands of digital connectivity. Biologist E.O. Wilson proposed in his biophilia hypothesis that humans have an innate, genetically encoded affinity for other living things and natural environments. We didn't just happen to live in nature, we evolved in it, with it, as part of it. And Wilson's hypothesis suggests that when we're separated from living systems, something in us goes hungry. The research backing this up is now substantial and growing. Studies consistently show that time in natural environments, even brief exposures, reduces levels of cortisol, the body's primary stress hormone. It lowers heart rate and blood pressure. It reduces activity in the prefrontal cortex regions associated with rumination, that exhausting loop of repetitive negative thinking that underlies so much anxiety and depression. Researchers in Japan have studied a practice called shinrin-yoku, or forest bathing, the simple act of spending calm, mindful time in forest. Across dozens of studies, forest bathing has been associated with reduced cortisol, lower blood pressure, improved immune function through increased natural killer cell activity, and significantly improved mood and reduced anxiety. Some Japanese hospitals now prescribe forest bathing as part of treatment plans for stress-related illness. And here's where wildlife enters the picture specifically. It's not just greenery that produces these effects, the presence of animals amplifies them. Researchers at the University of Exeter conducted large-scale studies tracking people's mental states in real time as they went about their daily lives. One finding stood out. Seeing birds during the day was associated with improved mental well-being that persisted for hours after the sighting, even in people with depression. Hearing birdsong specifically has been linked in multiple studies to reduced feelings of paranoia and increased feelings of restoration and connection. There's something about the sound of birds that the human nervous system seems to interpret as a signal of safety, of an environment where predators are not present, where food is available, where the world is, at least for this moment, okay. Watching fish in an aquarium has been shown to reduce heart rate and muscle tension. Observing deer grazing in a meadow produces measurable reductions in anxiety. Even watching wildlife videos, though less powerful than direct exposure, produces positive psychological effects. Ecotherapy, a growing field of mental health treatment that uses structured time in natural environments as a therapeutic tool, is being increasingly incorporated into mainstream mental health care. Programs involving wildlife observation, outdoor mindfulness, and nature-based reflection are showing promising results for anxiety, depression, PTSD, and attention disorders. But here's a crucial nuance, and it's where the idea of respect comes in. The mental health benefits of wildlife contact are most fully realized when that contact is characterized by mindfulness and respect, not stimulation seeking or disturbance. There's an important difference between observing a great blue heron standing still at the water's edge and flushing it into flight because you walked too close. The first experience is calming, connective, humbling. The second produces a startled bird, and often a subtle feeling of guilt or disconnection in the observer. Respecting wildlife means maintaining appropriate distances. It means resisting the urge to approach, touch, or feed wild animals, no matter how tempting. It means moving quietly and slowly. It means sitting and waiting rather than chasing. And here's what's remarkable. Those behaviors, stillness, patience, attentiveness, slow and deliberate movement, are themselves mindfulness practices. When you sit quietly at the edge of a pond watching for wildlife, you are doing something very close to what a meditation teacher might prescribe. You are placing your full attention on the present moment. You are quieting the internal narrator. You are receiving sensory information. The sound of water, the warmth of sun, the rustle of reeds without judgment. The wildlife observation and the mental health benefit are not separate things. The act of respectfully observing nature is the practice. The animals are not incidental to the experience. They are the focus that anchors your attention in the present, the living proof that the world is larger and more complex and more quietly magnificent than the inside of your head. Some practical ways to engage with summer wildlife respectfully. Bird watching is perhaps the most accessible entry point. You don't need expensive equipment. A pair of binoculars and a free identification app. Merlin by the Cornell Lab of Ornithology is excellent, is all you need to begin. Summer mornings offer the richest experience. Step outside in the hour after dawn, find somewhere with trees or water, and simply be still. Let the birds reveal themselves. Notice what you hear before you look. Follow sound with your eyes. This practice of deep listening is profoundly grounding. Wildlife journaling. Sketching or writing observations of animals you encounter combines the attentional benefits of observation with the reflective benefits of creative expression. You don't need to be an artist. The act of trying to accurately record what you see forces a quality of attention that is itself therapeutic. Nighttime wildlife observation is one of summer's great underappreciated pleasures. On a warm summer night, sit outside in darkness. Give your eyes 20 minutes to fully dark adapt. Then listen. What comes to you, the calls of frogs and insects, perhaps the silhouette of a bat against a lighter sky, the flicker of fireflies, is a different world entirely, and one that most people never take the time to experience. If you have access to a body of water, a pond, a lake, a river, even a large stream, summer mornings spent observing the wildlife, there can be some of the most restorative experiences available to you. Great blue herons, kingfishers, painted turtles, dragonflies, even an urban creek can host surprising wildlife diversity if you sit still and pay attention. The key in all of these practices is the same. Slow down, be quiet, be patient. Let the animals go about their lives on their terms. You are a visitor in their world. And when you hold that awareness, truly hold it, something shifts. The ambient noise of worry and planning and self-criticism gets quieter. The world gets larger. And you remember in some wordless way that you are not separate from all of this. You are part of it. We're living in a summer right now. A summer full of creatures doing extraordinary things. All of it is available to you, not through a screen, not as information, but as direct, immediate living experience. The science is clear. Spending time in nature and the presence of wildlife with attention and respect is genuinely good for your mind. It reduces stress, it quiets rumination, it restores attention, it reconnects you with something larger than yourself. Most of us carry some memory of it, a moment in childhood or last summer or last week when we were outside and something living caught our attention, and for a few seconds or minutes, everything else fell away. We're not a small thing. That's medicine. Thank you for listening to The Resilient Animal. If today's episode resonated with you, please share it with someone who could use a reminder to go outside. And next time you're out in the summer heat, look around. Be patient. Be still. The wildlife is there, and it is, in every sense, waiting for you. Until next time, stay curious, stay kind, and stay wild.